So, as a young person growing up in Australia, I don't think there's enough information and resources about young child asylum seekers. There was this one instance where a child was locked up for, I think it was 2 years in a child detention centre and had epilepsy, and she was handcuffed. Every time that she had an epileptic fit, the handcuffs would be on so tight that they cause her to bleed. Like, she'd be shaking that vigorously, that the handcuffs would act like a blade. And the guards, I remember the guards, when she was telling us the story, used to think she was joking, so they never used to do anything about it. So it's sort of like when you hear stories like that you actually want change in regards to the treatment of not just asylum seekers, but asylum seekers in general.
I think asylum seekers have every right to be in Australia, as long as it's for political reasons. But I don't support asylum seekers who come to Australia for economic reasons.
Why is that?
It's because if you're persecuted for political reasons, then you have every right to escape the country, because nobody should be persecuted for political reasons. Yeah. But for economic reasons, some people are just poor. Australia can't take in all of the world's poor. So, but certainly for political causes, I would support even child asylum seekers coming into the country.
Okay.
Well, I'm not a human rights lawyer. I'm also not a child psychologist, so I really don't know. Yeah, that's it.
For children coming from war zones such as Afghanistan and Pakistan and Sudan, a lot of children experience traumatic scars. These may not be physical injuries, but they're traumatic in nature in terms of emotional scars. And I'm not really sure if detention centres in Australia, especially for asylum seekers that come from by way of sea, well, it's the right place for children to sort of develop. It can be, the children of course at that age need a lot of help. There needs to be separate facilities for child asylum seekers in Australia, and there's been a lot of talk about the Manus right recently, but about a particular prisoner that died during his rights. And if children are part of that, if we witness something like that, then I mean that kind of environment can be extremely dangerous and volatile for a child, even though the child is no longer near those dangers that were then in the country of origin. He's now witnessing the same, he or she is now witnessing the same events all over again in detention centres across Australia. So I think significant attention and should be given to this regard. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Dylan.
Thank you.
From my understanding at the moment, I believe that child asylum seekers in Papua New Guinea or PNG or wherever they have them right now in Australia, it doesn't look like the environment that they've put them in is the most appropriate environment. Nor does it look like it helps them fruition and grow into something better. It looks like they're still in a place where they're caged in and they're faced with that poverty that they ran away from every single day while they're waiting for the papers to process. And I believe that society does have like a implicit and explicit negative attitudes towards like asylum seekers, especially child asylum seekers, because of the way the news frames things and tells us that they are. So then we feel like we don't want to be a part of that world or their world, nor help them. But then when we think about it, I think we have to look at the future of these children and how they can fund, how they can be the next generation to remove their country from that, I don't know, like circumstance of disaster, or how they can remove where they came from the state it's in right now, which is unlivable, and change it to become a livable place. These kids do need education and a good environment, so therefore I think we need to really step up our standard as far as treating them and catering for them.